슈퍼, 태자, 로그. 아프리카 TV 프레이업 스튜디오 라이브 2020 GSL 시즌 2 코드 S The Coming Storm.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got TaeJa versus Rogue next, and I think this is going to be a much more interesting series than our previous one.
Yeah.
Solar versus Super. I think Super showed that he had a lot of ideas, but he also showed that his play is nowhere near as refined as somebody like Super's.
Yeah, that's very, very true. But this guy right here, I mean, he was definitely one of the top players back in the day. And he's looking good now, man. Like, he looked great last season. That was my favorite series of the year so far, him versus Dark in the round of 24 last season. And then he made it to the round of 16, which was fantastic. I think he put out some good games there, but didn't make it through. But then there's this guy. And Taesus, if we could talk about farm animals for a moment, he's on the short list of people that we could argue is the GOAT. Okay.
Yes.
There's MVP, there's Innovation, there's Maru, there's Rogue,
I had no idea where you were going with this, by the way. I was like, I'm going to try to be ready, Artosis, but I don't know what twists and turns are going to take.
Well, there's not much of a twist or turn. He's one of the best of all time. He's won 2 IEM Katowices. He's won the World Championship at BlizzCon. He's won GSL. He's won an IEM in Shanghai, and he's won a GSL Super Tournament. No one else actually has that set.
It's true. He is pretty untouchable, but I'll tell you what, TaeJa's been looking pretty good. He's back and he's here to stay. Game 1 is on Eternal Empire. Let's start our match with Rogue versus TaeJa.
경기가 준비되었다. 한번 시작해 볼까? 팀 리퀴드 태자 윤영서. 지네어 그래밍스 로그 이병렬.
All right. See how these guys open up and everything, but oh, look at that offline match history, undefeated against Rogue. I don't think that really.
Well, these numbers are small enough that it's always. I mean, I know why we have these stats. I remember when we first like about a decade ago when we were just beginning to introduce stats into GSL, and it's like, well, this guy is 1-0 against this guy, and it looked pretty silly at the time, but you know that's because we know in years to come we're going to keep having stats here. But that stat reminds me of like year 1 of GSL where we're like, well, overall Zergs are 2-0 against Terran on this map. And it's like, well, we can't even really use that as a stat.
Or Legacy of the Void has been out for over half the lifespan of StarCraft 2 at this point.
Right.
So that Legacy of the Void stat is 5 years. And it's like, oh, did he 2-0 him 5 years ago? I don't know. But that was before Rogue hit his stride.
Right.
You know, as I said, Rogue is within the discussion for the greatest of all time in StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, that doesn't really, that stat doesn't work here.
The only stat that's better than this is the one that says someone's 1-0.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, well, that just means we've had a game played, right? Somebody
is that
had
stat
to
for games or for sets?
No, it's for games.
Oh, okay.
We always have this. Those stats are always just for games.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't know that. Oh, look at that. Huh. All right. Well, we know about this part. Bounces the queen.
Don't spoil it for me, Artosis. Does the Reaper kill the Zerg in this situation? I mean, how many Zergs just die to this? You know.
Yeah.
Don't give it all away here. But
occasionally you see a Ling go down.
Ah!
Cute. Hey, there it is. I told you I wasn't lying. Ling went down. All right. At home, TaeJa is actually going for a third command, so very macro-intensive play from him.
I'm curious to see how this will fare against Rogue. Rogue is One of those Zergs that seems to be the most out of control if the game has gone on for just a really long period of time. He was really the guy that started to make Zerg look ridiculous a couple of years ago in late game.
Yeah, he had the
Zerg.
best late game Zerg for years and years and years until finally I think Cyril was the only person that ever passed him.
Yeah, basically, you know, we always would see this inevitability of like Broodling, Infestor, or lots of Vipers used in situations. And that seemed like Zergs would always end up there if the game went on long enough, but Rogue seemed to be the first person to immediately get it.
Yeah, he knew how quickly he could get there, and he would be aiming for it.
Yeah, he knew that dance perfectly, and it wasn't like a Leenock Broodling Infestor, where it's like he had a kind of tiny chunk of the map, and he had this tech here, and he couldn't really go anywhere with it because there wasn't enough creep between him and his opponent.
It was like a domination of it.
Yeah, Rogue seems to know every twist and turn of that opening.
Well, it's funny because that's like that's what he originally became known for, but as of late, it's been more about his Nidus plays. Like he's become a much more aggressive mid-game player. I think that part of what it is that Rogue can identify what the best thing is.
Yeah.
Really easily, and then he just works on destroying you with that.
Yeah.
And he's also a player that is, not only is he so good at that macro big late game, but he's a player that is willing to mix in really aggressive builds. He used to be like a sniper in the Pro League days and stuff. You know, he was like, he went by the ID Savage. Remember that?
Long time ago.
Yeah, and he would like just come out and have some weird sharp build and kill somebody. I remember for an IM qualifier, he beat Sulky once, and I was like, what? Craziness.
Yeah, no, he's...
But yeah, he's got quite a range.
Yeah, he seems to have really just opened up every avenue of Zerg and mastered it quite well. Now, going to TaeJa on the other side of things, you know, TaeJa was a dominant player in the early days of StarCraft, right? I mean, this was when the first, you know, there was two big esports booms, right? There was StarCraft 1, which made it huge in Korea. Then there was StarCraft 2, which made it huge globally. And TaeJa was one of the people that was riding on the waves of that bigness. But he had to go to the military. He had to take a considerable amount of time off. But what's exciting about him being back now is he doesn't look like the good old TaeJa. He looks like a completely modern, top-tier Terran player here, which is awesome. And he looked great in the last season.
Yeah, he really did. It's very exciting to watch because of that, I think. Because he's still got some of his old flair and stuff. Like, you can still see the old players that have come back and modernized. You can still see their style coming through and poking through. A little bit of harassment going on here. Throwing the Liberator up, right out of range of that Spore. And in fact, where those... That's a great placement. Look how annoying that is to walk the Spore around here.
Specifically because of the double Evo chamber there.
Yeah.
So many more drones are coming out right now. We do have the beginnings of a push. This doesn't look like it's a push that's necessary. Oh, is that a tank in there?
Yeah,
this is going to be committed. I stand corrected. I said it was not going to be, but we've seen this happening more and more. Even with the Sentry pocketed in that game. Oh my God!
Oh my!
I almost choked when that happened. Mid-sentence.
That was brutal right there.
He needs to leave now, right now.
That is not how you want that to go.
That actually
Look, only 100 Gascon. That means he only used 4 Banes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right.
You know, I'm so used to players microing perfectly there. Even when I see that coming, I'm sort of
you
ready
expect
for
him to
handle it, and I finish my thought instead.
Yeah, must have been doing something else. But that's a really important moment. The fact that now no pressure occurs at the 4th base is going to allow Rogue to comfortably get into his Lingbane Hydra, which is notoriously a difficult composition to deal with. And in fact, we see TaeJa going for the Drilling Claws. He's going for Mines plus Marine. And while we've seen Maru do it, like Marine, Marauder, Mine against Lingbane Hydra, I think I've only seen Maru successfully do that. You know?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And mines don't seem to pair as well. I know they're a little bit better now, but...
Good pickups here. Okay, he is going to back up and unload here. Again, a lot of the momentum that Rogue has now is because of the bungled attack by TaeJa.
Yeah.
That was supposed to at least be a favorable trade for Terran, where you kill off a lot of banelings.
Yeah.
Maybe, if, at best, you shell the hatchery down. But the fact that he basically lost infantry without a real fight ever going down, it's like Rogue is looking very scary right now.
That's the basic war of this strategy. If you're playing Bio against Zerg and they're going Ling Bane Hydra, their weak point is exactly the 4th base, because they don't really have their Hydras out yet. They don't really have any sort of critical mass. So the fact that zero pressure has been able to occur there, it's like Rogue has absolutely everything he wants. He's going into 2-2. He's getting his infestation pit. He has 4 bases up. He's at 85 drones, you know?
Okay, this is, a little bit too far here for Rogue to try to push in. He's grown tremendously here. I don't think TaeJa's out of this game, by the way. I know that Rogue's in a good spot, but...
Yeah, no, you're right about that, right? It's not like... There were times where there were unit comps where you can just kind of get into a position this good as Rogue, and it becomes incredibly difficult for anyone in the world to touch you. But TaeJa's actually going 3 factory siege tank at this point. He didn't stay on the mines. You know, as long as he's not losing huge chunks of his army or anything and continues to expand, which is one of his superpowers, this could still be a good game.
Okay, we have the Hellbats pushing it over here. This is to draw some Lings and Banelings. Not bad. It's going to eliminate a decent amount there. And then there's going to be 2 pushes on 2 different fronts here. Now, this is actually a little bit harder for the Terran to pull off than it is for the Zerg to defend. Because you have to be stutter step microing in one spot while trusting that the other side... And so he hasn't actually pushed in with this army at the bottom yet. I thought he was going to stim forward and hit both locations, but you know one thing about when you're stutter step microing is you can't move your screen somewhere else.
That's very, very true.
There's
you have to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like this little army is going to have to get out of here. Looking at what's going on, it looks like some Lurker tech is on the way. I'll be interested to see what Rogue wants to do with that. And of course, he does have the Hive coming up. I think he might go, like, is he just going to go Vipers, do you think, with this Hive? Or are we also going to see Ultralisk tech?
I think Ultralisk tech wouldn't be bad. I think Vipers are going to be more important to get these tanks like this coming up here. So Vipers first. Ultras, I think, are an inevitability if the game goes on long enough.
Especially with 2-2 melee upgrades already done.
Yeah,
it's like just fits it too well.
But yeah, I would have to say I think Vipers first because you can harpoon the tanks. The Hydras just kill them. The tanks don't get to do anything. And I don't know. I mean, you know, what Terran's doing here is Terran's expanding into the same area that Zerg is, so that Terran is both putting pressure on these expansions, but also defending the locations through the push line.
Yeah.
So,
well, that makes this base that he's dropping right now actually more important because it's the one that TaeJa can't really attack with any dedicated force. But look at this, rolling in right now. Oh, Baneling's connecting with those Marines for the most part, but a beautiful spread of siege tanks will keep him alive here.
Yeah, that might have been an overstep there by Rogue. Looks like the drop has been fended off. Or actually, he's going to unload it one more time, excuse me. This is the tricky part.
Keep poking and prodding here, but as long as Rogue keeps a moderate amount of units nearby, he should be able to clear this out and keep this base going. I wouldn't even mind just seeing him throw down like 3 spines of a spore or something.
What do you think of the Lurkers here?
Well, I think that with the Hydras and the Vipers, the Lurkers can work really well. We've seen some very weird Lurker styles that sometimes work, sometimes don't.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what this is. I think it's more like, this is a more tried and true type of composition where you have the Viper, Lurker, Hydra. It's kind of like a late game ZVZ set of units, and you can get a lot done with it. Vipers have a lot of utility.
Okay, that drop's going to get cleaned up eventually here. But this is really getting to the climax, at least so far in this game here. I mean, if Terran takes this position out, it's not going to be much more time before Terran takes this position above this out. These are the 2 expansions that are the closest together to each other than any other bases on the map. So it's... Oh, hold on. We have another attack in here. Nice arcing with these Marines. Brutor-esque move right there. Harpoons 1 tank in, but there's so many tanks.
Yeah, it gets a few of them there.
There's 2
TaeJa
factories,
doing a pretty good job. 3 factories.
3 factories,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I do love that out of TaeJa as well. I want to see him continue to create the siege tanks, but we'll see. 16 more Hydras on the way right now. Really starting to get some value out of these Vipers, as he does need to do.
Yeah, and that's what these Evo chambers are here for, by the way. You see,
well, he's not just getting upgrades?
He's just getting all the upgrades with the Martos. That's exactly what he's doing. Yeah, you just vampire the energy off of that and just continue.
Vampires aren't real, TaeJa, so he's mosquitoing the energy out of that.
You know, it's been interesting watching these fights because the base below this is well defended, but this top base has had almost nothing here.
Right, some lurkers running up for what looks to be an idea towards harassment.
What?
Yeah, I love it.
This is catching the lurker
The
with
one
SCs.
siege tank is just wrecking over there as far as defense goes.
Well, this seemed to be an error in judgment here by Rogue because these lurkers did not pay for themselves at all. 6 o'clock is going to be taken. We're in that later phase of TVZ where nukes become common. And I think nukes actually, in the positions that we have, assuming Terran doesn't lose this spot we see over here due to this counterattack, if he can just continue pelting this location with nukes, I think this could be a really good move for Terran. But I don't see very many Terran anything over here right now.
Well, he definitely needs something here. It's really hard to break into these positions because if you move your siege tanks up, your opponent's going to utilize Vipers against them. So anyways, we have him actually pushing into this other base that was already damaged. He did put up those 3 spine crawlers as suggested, but with this big of an army, absolutely those aren't going to slow him down at all.
Okay, another push goes through here, and there's been a real shift in attention over what's important here as far as attacking and defending for Terran. Terran takes out the center right. This push over here from Rogue seems too feeble to actually take the spot out.
Continues to push in over on this other side. And look at this, man. TaeJa's taking additional bases down at the bottom as well. Rogue expanding towards the top left, but he's lost a base and isn't actually able to break anything of TaeJa's.
You know, Rogue is pretty squished in this game. Like, he's just up in his upper right quadrant, but Terran's expanded right next to the Zerg and all throughout the bottom of the map.
This is actually, like, very impressive from TaeJa, I want to say. Because, again, like, the beginning, the early parts of this game were really dominated by Rogue after eliminating that push. And here we have TaeJa. He's just kind of, like, altering where he's going back and forth. He went mass siege tanks for a bit. He's switched it up. He's trying to abuse mobility here against the lurkers, and it's working out pretty darn well.
Yeah. This drop is actually doing really well over here, right underneath all the overlords. I think that we might have TaeJa about to win this game. Pushing over here in this spot. Again, reinforcements are being completely interrupted by that drop that's happening up over at the upper right. These Banes are going to drive this back, but they can easily regroup back at the planetary and then push back in again.
This is Marines might even get rid of this evolution chamber, and he stops melee +3. Kind of a big deal right there.
Broodlords getting their Evo chamber revenge there. Broodlings, excuse me. The game, and now TaeJa is not totally going to close this one out 100%. I thought he was for a second, but that drop was cleaned up. But I'll tell you something, Rogue is barely hanging on right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, Rogue still has the potential for a lot of cost-efficient things, right? He's got lurkers and banelings and vipers, so we'll see what he can get done with it. Gonna go ahead and burrow these lurkers. Start to go to town here on this planetary, but the longer he sits there, the more time he gives TaeJa to get something done.
Okay, and then this space up here in the top left, I don't believe it was really ever even mined from.
Yeah.
You could see here it's almost like the Zerg siege tank here versus the planetaries. You can hit that from there. There's not much that Terran can do to contest, and they don't have other units over there that have the range to actually address the lurker issue.
Yeah.
So this is just, I don't even know if you should keep repairing this or what. I don't see any plans from Terran to try to save this. We're actually missing a big attack in the middle of the map. It looks like something Terran's getting, there it is.
Ooh, nice parasitic bombs. A nice way to start to get cost efficient, which is exactly what Rogue does need to do. In the meantime, TaeJa gonna counterattack here into the fourth base once again. Sieges up some tanks. He has these ghosts here as well. Throwing down a couple snipes. Picks off a lurker there.
I'm going to tell you
damage on that hatch.
This hatchery, if he doesn't save it now, the next spot, like I said earlier in this cast, is going to be at 12 o'clock, and that is a very short walk from here.
All right, he's trying to get in right now. Actually, yoinks in the siege tank and picks that off. The hatchery remains alive, but it has almost no health.
Okay, well, here comes some more snipes on these lurkers. Additional lurkers come in here to buffer. I can't believe this hatch is still alive. Has this hatch actually ever been killed off in this game?
No,
I feel like
there's
been more damage dealt to this hatchery than almost any hatchery you've had in a game. Yet it stays alive.
Some stuff.
Yes.
It is bleeding pretty viciously right now, Tasteless.
Rogue is maxed out now. Still slightly behind in the upgrades here. I feel like we had nukes made, but did we ever have one shot?
We haven't yet.
Okay, that was right on.
Damn, Tasteless.
It's like some bad writing in this cast. Have you seen any nukes, Artos? Just
well, I have now, Tasteless. Here it comes. Whoa.
Oh, seriously?
No
Seriously?
way. No way.
No!
What?
That never happened!
What?
One of the things I do as a caster is I always try to downplay the nuke as it comes because I don't want to mislead the audience. Because, like, almost always they actually get away from it and it is of little consequence. But this time, not
well, you know what Rogue was thinking to himself? He's thinking, hey, if I'm going to lose this game, at least I'm going to make it to Reddit.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, the game certainly is not over as of yet. We still see, like, TaeJa is making, I think, tactically and strategically really awesome moves all over the place. But during actual engagements, he is being a bit outplayed.
Yeah.
There's better micro here from Rogue overall. He's getting a lot of good connections. And TaeJa's taking damage in that way. But it's not necessarily a knock on him, right? Like, I actually find it more impressive in a lot of ways, the way he's moving his army around and hitting all the weak points.
The hatchery's still here.
Somehow.
It's going to go down now, right?
It better.
Well, something keeps popping up.
He
to
needs
draw
to scan
the
again to get it.
Oh my God, it's going to live on.
This is absurd. I can't believe that has not
I feel
gone
like,
down.
yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So the hatchery is still in this game.
71 health.
Yeah. And it's been in the red for a while. Okay? It's like healed up, and then a few more shots go, but not enough to kill it.
Look at this one, too.
All right.
A lot of damage on that. Ling's coming down to try to defend. He's just going to target this one down, though.
I feel like he probably should be targeting down these hatches a little bit. I understand the idea. The theory is that you just try to set your army up well enough that it can do well on its own and continue on to the next task. Instead of just being preoccupied in this one spot, you could probably set up 3 or 4 more attacks, macro out a little bit better. Oh my God, he's still just barely in range, but no vision here.
It's going to be mined out eventually and not even matter anymore.
Oh, he's actually not in range still.
Well, I like that. He actually takes on the Overseer as well. Still not going to kill this hatch.
Yep, tank's still not in range. 12 o'clock is going to mine out here as well, right?
Actually,
I think it is.
yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're
It's
right.
funny, we've been watching fights over these bases for so long, but even if Terran ends up denying that position, it doesn't matter as much because Zerk got all the funding out of that spot.
Yeah, if they keep it alive and actually mine it out, you know, it comes down to, like, is killing that important, or is just being cost efficient against their units being the important thing?
Terran continues to grow into the upper left.
That's going to scrape it, right?
Yeah. No, I bet it lives. Nah, never mind. Sorry. I'll hand in my caster badge. Sorry, everybody. So, you know, that again, the base was taken out finally, but you know, how good is this really, right? I mean, this is okay, here we go.
Oh, this one's a little bit better, I would say.
Yeah,
looks like he'll pull most of the drones, though.
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be 2 neglected that we're mining in the gas. But now I feel, well, it just seems to me like Terran is going to get that upper left spot, no problem, but then Zerk gets to have all of the lower right. And then we're going to end up in the same scenarios we had in the upper left.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
Well, this is turning into quite an epic game, but it's Eternal Empire. This is kind of what we expect from the map at this point. TaeJa has that top left base, which I think is a really important thing to mention. And like, if there's a base that can be taken out, it's actually that one in the top left.
Yeah.
If Rogue just moved his army up there, he definitely could kill it. But if you get out of position like that, you might lose your bases as well. And TaeJa's been very good at making calls on when to move around the map.
Now, unlike the situation which mirrors in some ways what we had, the situation we have here mirrors what was in the upper left. There's a lot more ghosts. So there's a more mobile way to pick off ranged units here. Oh my god, these blinding clouds are just incredible.
Oh my god, just green everywhere here. Does have to eventually back up though. TaeJa keeps a big, strong army.
Yeah, the ghosts really allow you to dive back into a fight with the range, right? I mean, the siege tanks are strong and the splash is devastating, but the ghosts allow you to pick off very specific units. Even Hydras in this case, it's fine.
Anything. It's not that expensive a spell.
No.
Picks off another hatchery here. Several drones dying as well.
I think he'll actually slip into the bottom right. There's nothing over here to defend.
He can't save that.
No, he can't.
But maybe he can kill everything else in the meantime.
There are no overseers here. So these cloaked ghosts are just going to destroy so many veins.
Wow, they did some serious work there.
That's crazy. And then they're going to get away for these Marines and Marauders to buffer here. By the way, the bottom right hatch was taken out. I actually think that Rogue is going to die.
Yeah.
This appears to be...
Absolutely tasteless. He has, like, nothing left.
Yeah.
This is, like, that's his base that has the most minerals. This one we're looking at right here. It's got almost nothing. His income is gone.
The GG TaeJa wins again. TaeJa now 3-0 versus Rogue. And, dude, this is why TaeJa was so dominant in the early days. And it wasn't just like, oh, that was a meta where they hadn't figured the game out that well. Nope, apparently not. Apparently he comes in really a very complex TVZ against one of the best late game Zerg first Terran players that's ever lived, holds his own, and comes out on top. That's incredible.
Yeah, his army movements, his tactical play, like basically what I'm trying to say is his like fundamentals of RTS were just so strong there.
Right.
He didn't even micro-well. He did not micro-well this game.
No.
And that's oftentimes something for Terran players that were like, whoa, Maru just like beat everything and lost nothing.
No, he made mistakes.
Or Beyond did that.
And still came out on top.
Absolutely.
All right,
so
guys,
strong.
Going to Golden Wall for game 2. A TaeJa versus Rogue. Right now, TaeJa with a 1-0 lead.
경기가 준비되었다. 한번 시작해볼까? 팀 리퀴드 태자 윤영석. 지네어 그리밍스 로그 이병렬.
Right. Golden Wall. This should be fun. Have a lot of interesting games here. Really not sure how these guys are going to approach it, to be honest. We've seen some TVZs here. Notably, I think one of the interesting ones was the Cure game, where he really didn't do much. He just parade pushed through the bottom. You remember that game? Where like he lost like 60 SCVs or something? No problem. Just keep making Marines.
Well, it's you know, it can always happen since, you know, StarCraft, even StarCraft 1 first came out. You could kill a Zerg by taking out all the expansions, but another way to kill them would be to get to where the hive is and blow that up, because that's almost always also where all the tech is. So you kill that off, they have to remake back in a hive, remake the pool, remake everything else. So, but most of the time, you know, it's like, for instance, our previous map on Eternal Empire, it's impossible to end the game by doing it that way, because you would have pushed through every expansion to get there, right?
Yeah.
Well, Golden Wall is one of the few maps that does allow for one of these alternative wins in a TVZ, where if you do push through the bottom and Zerg is expanding up towards the top, yeah, I mean, if you just kill off this one position in the main, you can win the game.
Yeah, and it covers a whole bunch of places. You can take his bases. It's hard to counterattack as well. Golden Wall really does make for some unique games. So Reaper coming across. Nothing too weird happening as of yet.
We have a bunker block here. A lot of the same ideas that we saw in the Super game. Just trying to control where the Zerg takes his third.
When you said the Super game, I'm like, do you mean Super Tournament? Do you mean like a game that was really awesome?
No, I just mean
is there a game
with
that
a
we
guy
call
called
a Super game?
Yeah.
Did you decide that one of the games that we've casted is called the Super game? It's got its own name because it was so good.
Oh!
What?
TaeJa, stop! You're killing him.
God. It doesn't seem right that the IM Katowice champion should
I know.
be getting killed right now.
Yeah, this was one of the most exciting things that I thought could have happened today, but I try to temper my wishful thinking.
Well, out of all the matches today, I've been looking forward to TaeJa versus any Zergs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Every other match is much less entertaining for me on this. I mean, Solar Rogue will probably be good if they play, but yeah, it's pretty wild to see. Ooh. Ends up losing that Reaper, but you know what? That Reaper did its job.
That Reaper
It was a good Reaper.
That Reaper's a hero.
And the place he's building his command center, it looks like he's just going to take a very standard approach through the front of the map. The command center is placed in a position where I would assume it's going to float to the north for the third base.
We don't have any gold bases taken here.
He could float it to the gold. It's
Yeah.
not. That wouldn't be an unreasonable thing.
That's what I was going to get to. I wonder if we're going to see that.
Yeah, it could be
here because, you know, it's a forward position. Terrans don't mind expanding towards the Zerg.
It's oftentimes the best way to do it.
Yeah, because they're going to be pushing almost always. I mean, we always see games where it's flipped and the Zerg is going to all in the Protoss or all in the Terran or a Nidus Worm's used or something. But if you're going to go with, like, textbook play, it's not a bad idea to just expand close to them. That's what we saw, that interesting moment of tension in Game 1 between these two on Eternal Empire, where they were both, where Terran was hugging the Zerg's expansions with his own expansions. Because this way he can have all his resources devoted to attacking, and he really can't get counterattacked that easily.
We have quite a few Hellions, as well as Banshees being made. TaeJa just kind of running around back and forth, poking and prodding, seeing what he can get done. Of course, Rogue moving his queens in tandem with them, blocking everything as of yet. Spire on the way. Cool. Gonna play a different style here.
Yeah, I'm curious if this is a reaction to the previous game, or if it's just the fact that the map is so different. I mean,
I think mutas can be good here because they can go on either side of the golden wall very quickly.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's that you can actually just hit anywhere, where if you had lurkers, for instance, it's like, well, how are you going to really deal with an expansion at the bottom if you're not able to get down there?
Very true.
And Terran can, of course, punish that. So this if you're going to go for muta play here in high numbers, you can do a lot of burst damage in the mid game here. Especially with the Banelings combined, and we see the Banelings nest started now.
Does this seem, though, like, okay, definitely I can see how the Spire and Mutalisks in general would be very good if your opponent expands to the bottom, but since TaeJa's skipping that and playing just towards Rogue, doesn't it feel like the Mutas are, I don't want to say a weaker choice, but like, what they would gain on this map, they're not really gaining. There's no extra advantage going Mutas because of that expansion location.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
Maybe you harass the gold minerals a little bit or something like that.
I wonder if the mutas, because they give you a lot of strength in the game, like in the mid game, which we're about to get into, maybe this allows you to then take your own gold base and they can't contest it, and then from there you get so many lings, you know, along with your Banes, that you have the ability to flood their spot and hit them. I don't know, though. At the same time, now that Terran takes the gold base, I feel like everything I said is negated, because then they just have more Marines or more Hellions, and therefore they can take on your lings.
Oh, that is a great catch.
That is even bigger than the mistake we saw in Game 1 by TaeJa, where he couldn't push any further.
Yeah,
what the Baneling said.
You can't lose those 8 Hellions for free like that. That was really, really painful. Okay, the Muta's flying into this gold base. Marines chasing them out.
Good defense here by TaeJa still. Looks like the Lings are trying to check for any other location they can attack into.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything as of yet. He's still sewed up pretty tight. Has some good defense here at home.
Okay, you know, we've talked about this. The Mutas seem to be good because they can exploit the fact that there's a platform over here that you can't really get your ground army to. But so far they haven't done that much.
No,
you know?
they really have not.
Like, they didn't even get that tank.
They are keeping him a little bit busy. Gotta hand it to him on that. His 1-1 upgrades are a little bit slow, but he's gonna have Baneling speed. So it feels like the engagement that occurs is definitely going to be very much based off of eliminating enough Marines.
Oh my god. So the Banshee's taken out immediately. This game looking a lot stronger here for Rogue, I'd say. And let's not forget that Rogue always knows the proper sequence to get into the end game. You know, which I actually think that most Zergs tend to flub getting into the end game with the Muta play. It's a lot of engages and then one goes wrong. Like if you lose all the Mutas, it's like you're out.
Yeah.
You know? But I think Rogue is probably a player who can play cautiously enough.
Well, from the Mutas, it's like he has to get into Ultras eventually.
Right.
The upgrades of TaeJa are pretty significantly far ahead right now.
Yeah,
this 2-2 is going to be hitting about halfway done as 1-1 finishes. Definitely upgrades are very, very important in these types of battles.
When the Widow Mines can bro quickly and set up in a good position, that's where you can end up just like car crashing the game.
Yes.
You know, like it's
and he's
the Mutas, you know, when they're clubbed together, it's hard for the Marines to ever catch them. I mean, this has actually always been a part of StarCraft. It's hard for Marines to ever get to where the Mutas are.
You can't force an engagement with the Mutas unless it's some sort of attack
but
where they have to defend.
With Widow Mines, if you have a good setup and you can preempt their flight patterns, if you have 3 or 4 Widow Mines broed in this spot and you can just catch them, the Mutas are gone. And it's not like most fights in the game. Most fights in this game is a trade. You know, our units are both going to hit each other, and then someone comes out ahead. But units are lost on both sides. If you have, a complete shutdown, like your Widow Mines all go off and kill all the Mutas, you have so much momentum from there on out. Usually the counter push just wins. Here we go. This is exactly what I talked about. But he avoids that location.
You can see it, and he does have Overseers with him, so he's trying to avoid such a thing. But this is so many Mutas. Look at the amount of damage that can be done. He kills turrets so quickly. Getting in here on top of some of these add-ons, not sure that like tech labs are the most important thing to kill, but just getting anything is important at this point because he's made so many Mutalisks. All right, Burrow on the way. A lot of Banelings being morphed as well. Looks like TaeJa wants to pull the trigger. He's maxed out with 2-2, so there's not going to be a better attack time than this. But look at this, the punishment of these Mutas. I really like this from Rogue. This is a very cool way to play.
Well, this puts TaeJa in a tough spot because the question is, do you go back home or do you commit with a push? And we're just now seeing the push turn around. Or actually, I'm sorry, it stopped in the middle. It looked like it was going to turn around.
Well, he's got to deal with this. Oh, that mine hit.
Can we
super
please
huge.
see the hit points on that? Oh my God.
Just barely not getting these burrowed. But TaeJa can't turn around. He has to do something with this army.
Oh my God.
This is silly.
It's the most Banelings that have ever been made. This is crazy. Okay. Yeah, I think you just attack move.
Oh, well, 2 Marauders were hoping that. That's for sure. A lot of Banelings go down there, not actually getting very much.
What a weird moment with the Thor land, or the Mule landing there.
Yeah, he wanted to repair. Okay, here come the Speedbanes once again. A lot of them still left over here. The Thor is standing in their way.
Well, he's chunked out a lot of those units. I like the positioning here with the Thor.
Look at this, he keeps letting because there's no Lings here. It's only Banes. So if you send 4 Marines up, there's no good engagement for you.
Oh, that was just really bad by him back there.
And he's trying to force him to squeeze through 3 Thors on a ramp to get to his Marine, like, look at this play.
It's beautiful.
TaeJa, my God.
Okay, the Lings are out, but now there's not that many Banes. Look, he rotates the Thor to the front. Oh,
he's just so handsome.
He's so good. Thor is doing a lot of damage to these Mutas. The Marines are continuing to split. I do think the Zerg has just a little bit too, or Terran has just a little bit too much, but now there's reinforcements coming.
Well, a lot of Mutas went down. There's 14 Mutas remaining, not that many Banes left.
Right.
But the drone count is huge. He's got a lot of bases. TaeJa, though, I mean, we can kind of say the same, right? He just keeps expanding.
Nobody has really partaken in anything on the lower platform, by the way. How interesting. We have 1 Zerg base being taken there now.
Yeah, just now, too.
Okay, there's burrowed Banes literally just right by all this.
That's where he was actually standing with his Marine Force previously.
But I don't know if it's where he's going to stay.
Oh! Well, it's as if he knows. Good on him, not moving his clump of Marines over that.
Is he gonna
Kills
push
off
the
one of
gold?
the Zerg bases. The thing that is crazy about watching TaeJa, he expands like Maru. There's so few
Yeah.
Terrans that will do this, just take bases everywhere.
He literally has all the bases that realistically he can take.
Yeah.
I guess minus the very center gold wall in the middle. You know.
Yeah, that's not a real base.
That's that's not a place that you're like, I'll expand there and mine the minerals and get ahead. But yeah, I mean, there's everywhere else where there's any kind of resources.
Oh my God, have some banelings.
Look at this. Okay, I feel like Rogue really.
How many banelings
really
was
screwed that up? That was a absurd amount of banes.
That was a Bane train right there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think TaeJa is so close to winning this. Keep in mind these medevacs can't actually really heal. They don't have any energy.
Yeah, banelings don't really care about medevac heal that much either. Okay, loads up a couple of them. He has quite a few Widow Mines here. Rogue maybe thinking about counterattacking somewhere, but mines spread out, getting some big hits.
Now the bottom left base on the lower platform has been taken, but I don't believe there's any drones really mining from it just yet.
Yeah, I think you're right. Look at this.
Dude, look
TaeJa
at this,
continues
man.
to rally over.
Dude, he's so good.
Yeah,
He's
looking
just
fantastic.
he's playing so perfectly. He got in there right before the gold minerals were mined out. So there's no recourse there other than mutas, and there's enough Marines the mutas can't really ever try to take the fight. Now there's an Ultralisk cavern coming here. Not a lot of gas though in the Zerg's bank.
Yeah, not too much right now. We'll see
what
if
a
he can
weird
get up to
attack.
that and make something happen with it. Oh, he's just not gonna quite get this.
Well,
the
the
muta's
mutas will
flying
clean this
over.
up. But the base was also taken out over there. The gold base. And now, dude, I think TaeJa's gonna win this.
It's looking pretty good for him right now, I would say.
Well,
A nice save on that base.
yeah.
A little bit of a counterattack here, but he's already mined most of the minerals there.
How many minerals are actually available at the base in the upper right? Not the very, very upper right.
Oh,
but
you're
the one
talking about
below that.
TaeJa's?
Yeah.
That was his fourth, so I think it's still all right now.
Okay.
And of course, he does have that base that they're kind of having some scraps over.
Oh,
Up at about 1 o'clock. Oh my
God.
God.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Dude.
he's just eating mine hits.
I'm a little bit worried here because the push is inbound now, and a couple of Thor shots, and you have only a ground army as a Zerg. Okay, he's going to drop
Yeah, and
off.
this is not an army that you can trade with forever. You have to have
No.
such a bigger economy than your opponent to make it work like endlessly.
Oh, the mutas are going to chase this. Where does TaeJa want to try to hit? It seems like he's not going to try to... Oh, no, he's going to drop the bottom left base. We have link counterattacks everywhere. This might...
Rogue is actually flowing down to that bottom left base, though, so I don't think he's going to be able to get that. TaeJa's economy is becoming small enough that maybe this is going to work out for Rogue.
Good pickups there.
All right, Ultras are starting to join the fray now.
It
It is
seems
3-3 against 3-3.
It seems as though, for all the great plays of TaeJa, he's kind of collapsed in on himself here. He's no longer able to push anywhere. Zerg is now freely vacuuming up resources at the bottom left. Let us not forget, though, that in this map where it does appear that each side of the map gets their own resources, there don't seem to be a lot of shared locations or expansion ambiguity as far as who's supposed to get it. It's also possible that Zerg gobbles up all the resources on the map and spends them, especially in units like Banelings, after not trading efficiently, and then Terran comes out on top. That's a possibility as well. I almost think if I was in TaeJa's position, I might be itching to try to stretch this game for as long as possible.
Yeah, I see what you mean by that. And maybe just stay cost efficient the whole time?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, like this moment here. Now he's going to kill SCVs and damage this, but now the Ultras can't get out.
Yeah.
Everything, especially that is gas. Oh! Ho, ho! Everything that is gas intensive is lost, that doesn't pay for itself. At the end, when we have to measure this all out, I think TaeJa is going to come out on top here. Maybe.
Well, those bottom bases are really going to start playing a role as well.
Yeah.
The fact that Rogue is taking yet another one, that really makes me favor Rogue in this position, right? And he can keep sending masses of lings around. He has got a huge economy, but hits like that, I mean, 18 kills from a Widowmine hit, it's
Yeah.
pretty strong.
Yeah, well, the lings at this point in time, they seem to be getting the most value here, you know. There's just enough in the game. Oh, nice micro there. Doesn't end up working out anyways, but the idea was pretty good. Put that in between the mineral and the gas.
Now look at this, the amount of ultras coming out. You can fight ultras to a certain degree with Marauders, with Thors, with Mines, with Marines. But, like, if they have a lot of Lings with it, a lot of Banes with it, and a lot of ultras, it becomes really hard. It feels like you really need to get Ghosts in there, you need Liberators in there as well. So I think that Rogue is basically massing enough that TaeJa's not going to be able to stop his full army. But he's doing a little ultra hit squad here. I love the air coming off their back with that upgrade.
Yeah.
Whoa, they're fast.
Now, it seems like Rogue has had enough bases up for enough time that he can have enough Banelings that he can start to really just smash through these armies. Now hold on a second, the mutas are all picked off over there. It seems like everything was split improperly. He needs to have a few more SCVs repair that. He does not. GG Rogue takes game 2.
Quite a good
in what
game.
has been a serious kick-ass series of TVZ. I mean, this has really been something else.
Well, TaeJa felt like he had the edge at times there. We saw him hitting everywhere, eliminating hatcheries left and right, defending things reasonably well. But Rogue's mutas did buy him a lot of time. He did a lot of damage in the main base of TaeJa, and he just kept taking bases. He just overwhelmed. I mean, it was kind of a classic ZDT.
This has been such a good series. Ice and Chrome for game number 3. Now, I actually don't know who's going to take this. I mean, TaeJa looked like he almost had broken Rogue, but Rogue is so tenacious, he just stayed in the game, and I think the fact that it was the map Golden Wall, he was able to expand down to that bottom platform, and there's really not a lot that Terran can do.
If those bases didn't exist, I think TaeJa wins that one.
I think so.
All right, Ice and Chrome, gonna be our third map. Let's do it. TaeJa versus Rogue.
경기가 준비되었다. 한번 시작해 볼까? 팀 리퀴드 태자 윤영석. 지네어 그래밍스 로그 이병렬.
Yeah, look at what Rogue's doing here. This is...
I wonder if he's just like, it's time for him to double proxy me, or maybe he has a cheesy build plan.
That's actually a smart point. Is like, it seems almost in the rule book of GSL, ZVTs, and TVZs. It's like, now you're probably, the first question you're probably asking is, when do I hide 2 barracks on the map?
Yeah. Such a common play.
And it seems like TaeJa is just going to play straight up.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can do it too, right? You can make Lings and kind of run around and try to force a cancel on the command center. You can try to catch a Reaper with something like this. But actually doing the SCV scout, so that's going to take a lot of the guesswork out of it. He can play a slightly more defensive opener.
It's cold on this map, Artosis.
Yeah, it really is. Ice and Chrome. Chrome, everyone knows Chrome is one of the coldest metals.
Yeah, and when it's this cold out that it's snowing. So, I've got my fingers crossed for another epic macro game.
Yeah, I hope so. I think there's definitely a possibility to it. I don't think either of these players are ones that generally just end it really quickly, and I think ZVT can be hard to end early.
Rogue occasionally will just throw down a Nidus for him, but I don't know that he wants to do that here against TaeJa. I think there's a chance TaeJa just shuts it down.
Well, if he's not going third command, and the thing is you can't know when you decide to do it. You have to kind of be rushing towards it.
It's very easy to hide on this map.
Yeah. Like for the Nidus to work, like the Hellions have to be out on the map, and it should be a third command build, and then it's like, oh, okay, here we go. So yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going to try something like that. It's funny. It's one of those games where I'm like, I think both these players should be confident in a macro game.
Right?
How can that be right?
Yeah.
Who's actually got who's favored here?
Almost always we have one player we pick out, and then I think most people would agree with who we pick, where it's like, okay, this guy's a little bit better in macro, or a lot better, so, you know. All right, I want to bring something up, because we just talked about this on the break, but we were talking about other games we've been playing lately. Did you said you just started playing Ori and the Blind Forest?
Yeah.
What day did you play that? I just started playing that yesterday.
Well, I think technically maybe I played it last weekend or something. Basically, it was like on sale, and my wife bought it. So I started playing it.
I can't believe we both started playing a game that's like fairly old now.
Is it old? I think
it's a couple years old. Yeah.
Oh, that's brand new. I only played 10 to 20-year-old games.
But the fact that we both are randomly playing the same platformer game.
Yeah.
Without one, because usually one of us recommends the other person a game.
Yeah.
That's just crazy to me.
And then I never play it. But
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. I just had to point that out. That's tripping me out.
That's the first time that's happened with us, I think. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's good. It's a good game.
I don't get too much time to play, so when I say I just started playing it, maybe it was a week ago, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, but I've only played it that one day so far.
Sure,
so I've played one day just like you.
Yeah, I just played it yesterday. It's good. So this game we have Banshees with a cloak.
Yeah,
we have an armory as well.
That armory coming up. I mean, this looks like it might be a Hellbat push that he's going to do. I generally don't like Hellbat pushes. Because they're dumb, and it's like what you do if you're weak and your opponent's strong.
There's so many things about the Hellbat push that don't seem to be that great.
Well, it's just like, do you have enough queens? And they're like, yeah. You're like, oh, okay. Okay, sorry.
Or the ones where they turn them into Hellbats and then try to run at the drones that are faster and running away than the Hellbats are and closing in on them.
Well, I think we're going to see this hit now.
Let's see if this works, though. TaeJa might have a very good read. Now, he hasn't disclosed that they're Hellbats yet.
Well, got to bring those Banshees in as well. Add that damage in. There are some spores around, so it feels even less likely that'll work.
All right, it looks like some kind of attack's going to come in as those have suicided in there. Now, if he pairs the Banshees with the Hellbats, maybe he can do something.
Yeah, he's trying to target down the Queen with the most energy right now. The Spore running back and forth, trying to find a place to burrow.
Okay, this
is not going to work. You can see how he has enough Queens and how, therefore, the Hellbats don't do anything. So he's got 3 drones so far.
Well, what if I get your attack upgrade?
I mean, that would be something, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So that was a pretty abysmal attack there by TaeJa. I mean, he really didn't do anything.
You know, I've talked about it a lot in the past, the Hellbat build. This is such like a ladder build, you know? It's like, yeah, you're gonna get some ladder points by making Hellbats, and they have 6 queens, so they die. But when you're playing like GSL, how often does that work? Is it never, or is it like one time in the last 3 years? Which one is it?
It just seems like it's a build that it definitely had a time in GSL. We would see it pretty often, but yeah, I agree. I mean, we just don't see it win that often at all. And then when you lose, I mean, everything you invested into is gone. Your infantry are going to come out later. The Zerg is not afraid of losing the 4th at all, and usually that's the beginning point of tension really starting to heat up in this matchup is the Terran pelting the 4th base and Zerg doing everything to keep that base alive because the 4th allows Zerg to propel themselves into late game.
There's no map control. There's no creep denial.
Right.
Rogue's taking a 4th and pushing his creep way out there. It's just, Yeah. Guys, if you make it into GSL, don't do a Hellbat build.
I'm surprised he did this time. Because I'm trying to think of all the times Rogue especially has lost to this.
Well, I don't have the stats in front of me. I just know that every time I see that armory and a lot of Hellions, I'm like, oh, this guy's not going to win.
It's an anachronistic build for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's like the build you use if your opponent's way better than you. Because sometimes you just get them. It's one of these math things. It's not like you're microing your Hellbats really well. You're trying to just push units into a spot where your opponent can't answer it.
Well, I think also it's, you know, Hellbats are some of the least microable things because they're not fast.
There's nothing there. There's no way for you to be like, I'm a better Hellbat guy than this guy is.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you both have 8 Hellbats. It's exactly the same.
And it really is a unit where the micro goes into the Zerg's hands. Can they transfuse correctly? Can they split correctly and arc everything out? And I almost think we should see this build eventually go away.
It's not even...
And
it's like a yes-no thing, but it's not even a decisive one that can kill somebody.
Doesn't
Pulling
seem like
the boys
it is anymore.
is more, you know...
That's true.
I don't know.
Pull the boys has had more success. Well, the thing is, SCVs are fast. They can come out, and then they at least are comboed in with your already pretty big army. I see the idea of sending the Banshees in and trying to snipe down the correct queens that have the transfuse energy, and maybe it snowballs, but I just don't see Rogue going down to that, you know?
No, I don't see any opponents are going down to it. Well, you can see this game is quite a bit different from the previous ones, right? Look at the upgrades. We have +2 attack halfway done and +2 armor just started for TaeJa, whereas 2/2 just finished for Rogue. So in a situation like that where you're actually up upgrades as Zerg, that's tough. The Marines don't want to be down upgrades, right? They shoot super fast, right? There's already Banelings that you have to contend with that don't really care about upgrades all that much anyways. So I think that this is a very good position for Rogue.
Okay, these Banes coming in here. Now, we've kind of had this as a theme today, but it seems like sometimes the attacks from Rogue, even when they do some damage, are not the best controlled, but Terran's already 2 behind, so GG. Those Baneling connects weren't the most efficient, but again, this all really goes back to the failed Hellbat attack.
The best case scenario you generally see at the pro level with these Hellbat attacks is the best case is like you kill a couple drones and like some of their queens. Like let's say you kill 5 of 7 queens or something. That would be like the best that you could hope for.
Yeah.
But you're trading so much for this. And it's been so long since it's killed anybody. I don't even...
Also, I mean, the lack of opportunity after the attack has failed. I think it's almost better to just get the 2 medevacs out with the 16 Marines and start roaming.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, up next, a ZVZ Solar versus Rogue to decide who moves on to the round of 16.